everybody? Welcome to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. The Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And don't forget to check us out wherever you listen to podcasts, be it Spotify, Spreaker, Google, etc. I want to get into this whole love-hate relationship that LaVar Ball seems to have with NBA fans and really sports fans in general. And I'm going to tell you the real simple solution to this. Because whether you think we do or we don't, we read your comments, guys. We read your comments. And whether you think ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports, or whomever, NBA teams, NFL teams, if you think that they don't read your comments, then you are sadly mistaken. And I think to a degree that we're aware of this in some capacity. Just because they're not responding, it doesn't mean that they're not listening. And regardless of that fact, here's something that I want everybody to know. And it is very simply this. In the industry of news and entertainment, they don't listen to the noise. They don't listen to the chatter. And even if you comment something negatively about whom they're promoting or putting on air or whatever the case is, the very bottom line is, as long as it's driving some sort of attention, they are going to put it on. See, what they listen to the most is silence. See, it's real simple. If you don't want somebody to be promoted, then you simply scroll past. If you're not a fan of LaVar Ball, if you don't like what he has to say, then guess what? You just move along to the next thing. And I can guarantee you that will stop Fox, that will stop ESPN, that will stop me, that will stop everybody and anybody from talking about him. The only reason why anybody is giving him the time of day is because he is good for quotes and he's good for attention. And in case you haven't noticed, a lot of that happens to be right around this time of year. There's no football, there's no basketball. The only sport that's really left outside of MMA or boxing is baseball. And baseball is a very regional sport. You have the Yankees and the Dodgers, who I would probably present as being nationally loved or at least well-known teams. Outside of those two teams, who can you really point to that on a national scale is watched by a good majority of people who aren't fans of those teams? Especially when they're having a bad year. I mean, last season, right around this time, I was talking about baseball and how the attendance was down and how 11 teams were probably not even going to finish above 500 and attendance records were being set for lowest attendance and teams were struggling to put people in the stands and they were struggling with television ratings for a number of reasons. So what do they need? They need to figure out a way to drive their social media right now. Because as many of us know by now, social media is another revenue stream, right? When you get a certain amount of clicks, comments, and views on a consistent basis, the social media platforms that they choose to use via Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, etc., all choose to monetize or pay them a respective amount of money because people will go to look specifically for their brand. And even then it gets thrown in their face because they pay to have it pushed into your face. And so then, of course, they get comments and likes and shares, et cetera, et cetera. And regardless of the fact, even if they didn't get paid, let's say that they didn't generate any kind of revenue from this, it would still help their brand through visibility. And so as long as you keep it visible, they are going to continue to put it in front of your face. That goes for anybody that you watch. I mean, all this talk all the time about stop making dumb people famous and all this kind of stuff. Do you know why it happens? Because you absolutely feel the need to say something, even if you think that it's clever or please stop doing this or I don't want to see this. Guess what? You have the ability to never see it again by simply moving past, but you just couldn't quite help yourself, could you? And we're all guilty of it. Every single one of us, including myself, is guilty of seeing something that I don't like, whether it's a journalist saying something I don't like or a figurehead saying something I don't like. You can't help but comment on it, can you? I learned a long time ago to just scroll past, man. Because it doesn't do anybody any good. We're putting useless energy into these things. Look, when I studied mass communications with an emphasis on sports analysis, one of the things that we were taught is if it makes you feel an extreme emotion one way or the other, it's probably fake news. But being fake news doesn't mean that it's not entertaining. And that's the entertainment value, because it made you feel some sort of way. Bottom line is you were entertained whether you want to admit to that fact or not. Look, I know that we live in a world where we are all capable of saying what we want to say. At any given moment, we can send a text, we can send a tweet, we can put it on Facebook. We all can just go out and buy a microphone and become a podcaster. We can do a lot of different things. The world has changed in terms of the different ways that people can now project their opinions. But just because you can say something doesn't mean that you should. And in the instance of LaVar Ball, if you can't stand the man, then it's real simple. You don't do anything but scroll past. That's it. Simple solution. You want to know why he's on? I just told you. He helps generate visibility to the overall purpose of anybody who puts him on. And then, of course, he does it for himself and the Big Baller brand. I mean, the shoes were an epic fail, man. I, at first, was very supportive of the shoes. I was like, we need to give it a chance, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of people bought them. A lot of people were disappointed. Personally, I think what he's done as a father is amazing. He's got 3 kids that are all fairly successful. He's created a brand. Unfortunately, it looks like he was taken advantage of in some way or another. I don't wish ill upon anybody. But if you want Lonzo to be interviewed instead of LaVar, then scroll past LaVar and listen to Lonzo. If you want any of his 3 sons to be interviewed over the dad, that's the simple solution to a problem that we have created ourselves. And we don't even want to admit to that. He's great for a soundbite, and he's an easy click, especially this time of year when there's really not a whole hell of a lot going on. It's all pretty much speculation. Speculation about too early NBA Finals predictions. Speculations about where Kawhi's going to end up, about where Kyrie's going to end up, about where so-and-so is going to end up. Still making predictions in the NFL when nobody's even played one game of football yet. That's just this time of year. So they're looking for anything that they can to get something from you to keep themselves visible, and you bite. You bite on it, hook, line, and sinker. Guys, I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. The Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And don't forget that you can listen to us on all podcast platforms. As always, don't you dare touch that dial.